What items are dangerous that people should just not buy at all? Like just stay away from them. They're just don't. They're bad.
Well, I was going to say something that a lot of people give their babies because they think, oh, my baby's fussy and I need to use this. Gripe water, teething products, like the things that are supposed to numb your baby's gums. Anything with a wedge. If I know a lot of babies have severe reflux, and there are pediatricians who give unsafe sleep tips, like, oh, put baby on a wedge, or I don't know, the crib at an angle or the mattress at an angle. I know I've heard that too. And even our pediatrician said that. And I knew that doesn't sound safe. But it is unfortunate. There are a lot of pediatricians who are not up on what is safe. They don't know the safe practice. And so they're inadvertently giving advice that endangers babies. Anything that's extra, if you're looking at the ABCs alone on their back in a crib, then you kind of need to look from there. Is this extra? A monitor is extra. I know the owlets, they're not safe. And I see so many parents who are so anxious, and so they're using the owlets. And it's dangerous. There have been babies who were burned. They have the little, I don't know exactly where the monitor goes, although I know it's on the foot, so I don't know the setup. But they found that babies have been burned by using that monitor. I mean, that's really unsafe. They can start fires too. If something can get too hot and burn skin, that can also start a fire. So that's not good. And I know a lot of people say, oh, that's rare. The risks are not, they're so small. I'm more worried about my baby not breathing. If you're following the guidelines and making sure just the simple ABCs are met and that your baby is healthy anyway and having any problems followed up on, your baby is okay. They're probably going to be okay if you're not doing all these extra things. So I guess that the gripe water and, breathable bumpers. Breathable is a marketing term. You don't ever need bumpers around your crib. And making sure that you're following safety guidelines like anchoring furniture, making sure that your plugs are covered, and just making sure things like, that just basic safety things that you don't have to go out. You can't buy safety the same way you can just following some guidelines and looking at what you already have and either taking something away or having a very simple fix. It's not about, I see a lot of people, I just want to buy all these things and that way my child will be safe. And I'm seeing a lot of the time it's some very anxious parents because they want to do a good job. And there is a lot of pressure to have a perfectly decorated nursery and to be the parent who is just there for their child and having them with you and attending to all their needs. That's a way to do that, but not like the kind of pressure that we get from looking at Pinterest nurseries and all kinds of things that people, the martyr syndrome where they're always with their child, people who bed share and they know their baby can only sleep if they're holding their baby. And of course they don't want their baby crying. They can't stand to hear a baby cry all the time. So they said, every time they move, I wake up. That's not healthy. Yeah. You're not getting a good enough sleep. You need 4 hours of uninterrupted sleep to be able to function. And you're taking care of a little one who needs all your attention. So if you're waking up every time they move, that doesn't make bed sharing any safer. It's sad, but sometimes we need to take our little ones and separate them from us a bit and see if it's our issues that are causing that and think more about the kid and not about, what's going on with us that makes us think we need to do all these things.
The only one thing that I will cover that I always heard about, and me and Danielle, which we're talking before all this about like having your kids separately down the hall or further away or on a different level. And so a lot of parents will keep the doors open, your door, the baby's door, but that's probably the one thing you can do or like bad upon. It's a bad decision. And you think you're doing good because you can hear them, even if you have a baby monitor or you just want to hear. Fire standpoint, it's have the door completely shut, all the doors, if you're sleeping in it, because it can give you extra minutes to get out of the house if a fire, it's a fire barrier, your bedroom doors. And I think it's on social media, and a lot of fire departments do post about doors open versus doors closed when a fire has happened throughout the house. And it can give you precious minutes, longer. So keep your doors shut, your baby's door, room door, your own bedroom door, anybody sleeping in that house. And actually, it's best to keep all your doors shut, at night, especially when you're sleeping, for that reason. And on top of that, fire detectors and carbon monoxide detectors, make sure they're properly working. I know a lot of fire departments will give them out for free. I know they can get expensive, but every bedroom should have one. And I don't know the correct answer on where they should be placed throughout the house or in your bedroom, but every bedroom should have one. And most houses now do come with that. But if you're renting, it's something to also look into it. I know it sounds like a lot, especially for new parents, but fire safety is a big one as well.
Right. I do know that with the carbon monoxide monitors, even now, at least when we had sold the other house, they had wanted something in every room, not just because we have one by our fireplace. It's a gas fireplace, and they're saying, no, if you have an upstairs, they need to be in those rooms. And so that's good to know. And make sure that you have a schedule for replacing the batteries on your smoke alarms, because we kind of forget that until they start chirping and you're like, oh man, which one is it? But if you have a schedule, you'll stay ahead of it.
It's always in the middle of the night that it happens. And you're trying to search which room it is.
Yes. You're pacing back and forth trying to figure out which one it is and standing there. It takes a while to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think it's so many feet, because my husband was a fireman. So you're supposed to have it like one is pretty much in every room. And then I think that carbon dioxide, there's so many feet of your house. So depending on if your house is bigger, you're supposed to have them, because we did this up north with our fireplace. So you had to have them on so we have one near the fireplace, we have one like in the kitchen, and we have one in the bedroom. So it was like so many feet apart depending on how big the layout of your house is. I think it's something like that. And if you're renting a place, check your renter's contract, because like my state and a lot of state laws are, every room has to have a have a fire detector in it, like every single room, and they're supposed to be functional. You're supposed to be able to check them. Like there's like a big deal about that because of landlords, you got the slum landlords and stuff like that. So that is one thing like you want to check. But if you go into a house, like a renter house, check to make sure that they are functional. It could just be like a flaw. Like it might not be that your landlord's doing that to you on purpose, but it could just be like it needs a battery or there's something silly. So it's like, do check them if you go into a house, because you don't know until you check them. Another thing I want to tell you, because you brought up the outlet, is I know from being on with a bunch of like trauma moms and lost moms and all this stuff, a lot of people like spend hundreds of dollars on those freaking outlet things. And we considered one because I was like, I don't know. I need to know that my kids, whatever. Well, I know a lot of women before me that have children that are older than mine, and they got them after losing a baby. They got one to like make them feel better, not be so anxious. And in the middle of the night, the thing would wake them up. Like, it's not like, oh my God, my kid's not breathing, but you go over there and your kid is breathing, but it's malfunctioning. It's actually very, very common, and you can actually Google it. And I'm surprised that they're still out making money off from this, because a lot of people have had it happen multiple times. I know of people that have taken their kids to the pediatrician and gone through all these extensive testing, thinking like something's wrong with their child's lungs or heart or something, only to find out there's nothing wrong with your kid, but the outlet was a liar. Like, so just be warned, like those things, I think when I looked at them, they were like over $200, and you could get like whatever extra stuff on them. So it's like, you're going to spend over $200 when it's probably malfunctioning and it's dangerous to even have on your kid. And then again, yes, they can burn them or your kid can twist. There's a bunch of weird stuff that can happen. I've seen somebody get a foot problems because it was on the foot and it squished a little one's little foot because they're very little. I can tell you a bunch of stories about those things. They're not good.
It can make anxiety so much worse because as new moms, I think, and even second, third, fourth time moms around, you always get some type of anxiety. And just know, there's just so much going on, but it can, it does a lot more to your anxiety because like you said, the malfunction, even if you keep checking on them, it's just, and I know it would be great if there was a product like this that existed that was safe sleep that could calm you, but there just isn't. And, have your monitor in there away from the baby, a regular monitor if you need, and if your baby does have needs that they do need to be hooked up to a monitor, there are hospital grade ones and you will be prescribed one and fitted for one, all that through different steps. So the ones that are on the market for, your baby shower gifts, they are not the ones. And I think they are even closer to 300 now, which is, you can spend that money on something else. And yeah.
That's a lot of diapers.
That's what I was thinking.
Right?
So many diapers for months.
Save your money. Stock up on diapers, wipes, formula if you're, formula feeding. Something else.
Well, I do know, I don't know if you're going to address this, Danielle, but there's that Safe Sleep 7. I don't know, Candace, are you familiar with the graphic in it? And it's the hair up, lay on your side. This makes bed sharing.
Oh, I see this come up when people say we can make bed sharing safe or safer.
Safer. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was something originally, it was a La Leche thing that they taught. And so that's why it's almost so common because La Leche it's really out there. There's the books, there's the groups, and you're hearing from this wonderful group of people who shares the same concern as you. And a lot of it is because people want to continue to be able to nurse their baby, even though it's rough and it is hard to get up in the middle of the night in winter. Oh my goodness, because it's so cold. It doesn't matter if you bundle yourself up. It's still really cold to get out of bed and attend to baby and nurse. So they came up with this idea that if you did 7 certain things, you could make your bed sharing safer. So you could just have baby in the bed with you. And so some of those things are, if you sleep with your hair piled up on your head, if you have long hair, no pillows. You need to cover the cracks with pillows or blankets, they said, I believe, either way. Baby needs to be on their back. You may not use the comforter, and the parent has to sleep in a C position on their side. I believe the other thing is they think that the parent that should be in the bed is the parent that is nursing the child. So it needs to be the nursing parent, the baby, and not the other parent or partner if they're involved. So if you're doing that, a person in a baby sleeping space is already a suffocation risk for them. And really, we don't have any control over what we do in our sleep. I don't know about you all, but when I go to sleep in one position, I'm not waking up in that position. Like, I have my little earbuds in when I sleep, and I wake up and they are draped over my body and they're in other places. And even me, because I've broken so many earbuds, I can't save those earbuds from me in my sleep. I don't know what I'm doing. They also have some other tips, like if you're going to bed share, no alcohol, nothing, no medications that would make you sleepy. You shouldn't be a smoker if you're going to bed share, and you shouldn't swaddle the baby if they're in bed with you. So that was another thing. It's not like the most well-known, like the graphic of the Safe Sleep 7, but those are other things that La Leche has mentioned. Also, no pets on the bed. So that's kind of a no-brainer anyway. It's not really safe for us to have our pets on the bed or in our child's sleep space. But if you have any pillows or any blankets covering any surface that's unsafe. The having the baby in the bed with you is just, that's the problem. You can't make it safe. There's just no way to do that. Having your hair up doesn't really matter one way or the other. But I guess the thing is people are going to see this and they're going to say, well, I'm doing what I think is best. Or the other thing that they bring up is in other cultures, they do this, and it's my culture. And I do get that because of my mom's culture, although she would never bed share. She's heard of so many people whose babies have passed because of this. So she was always adamant about safe sleep. And so you can get beyond that too. I know, just because you've seen it around you, if something is safer, you got to go with what's safer. It just is what you have to do.
And adult beds, mattresses, even if you get firm, and I'm not exactly sure the science behind baby crib mattresses or even like the playpen mattresses, but they're made specifically for safe sleeping for your babies. Adult mattresses aren't. Even if you get firm, you're still sinking and the baby can roll into you. I mean, there's just like, even when they tell you to cover up the cracks, I mean, the baby can still roll and get trapped in there. I mean, that's why the cribs are measured correctly to your crib. And there's so many standards for a crib and a crib mattress. So yeah, it's just not safe. Even if you try to make it as safe as you can, it's not safe at all. Baby should be in its own safe sleep space alone.
I'm sorry,
What
Daniel.
about pack and plays? I want to ask about that because I know pack and plays, a lot of people use them. You travel with them. People use them, almost like a different type of bassinet and stuff like that. Can you leave the pack and plays with just its regular mattress and stuff like that? Maybe put a sheet over it that goes with it. Like, I'm just curious about that one because I know I've heard a lot of people do some really strange things with pack and plays because they're like, it's a pack and play, it's safe. But then they do things that it's not safe with the pack and play. Do you know what I'm going with this? Where I'm like, no, you don't put an adult sheet in a pack and play. Like,
Or like the tents that people put over them. What I can say is, whatever sleep surface you're using, if it's a crib, if it's a pack and play, if it's a bassinet, you need to be reading your manual so first of all, how the limits, like weight limits for your baby, are they too long for this surface? That also makes it unsafe. And you need to know, it says it needs to be used with this mattress or these sheets, because a lot of the pack and plays, they have the sheets that you can buy that's specifically for that. So there aren't the gaps. And I know people said that some of them, if you don't buy the correct one, it bubbles. But again, you need to read the manual, know what to use with it. And then if you're using the attachments, you need to see if it's listed as being safe for sleep. So, I think the problem a lot of the time is when people start adding to that surface is when you have the problem. So sometimes the attachments are cool. You can use them for awake time, but they are not okay for sleep.
And no adding anything in there because you think the mattress is too hard for your baby. Don't put in a soft little mat or
yeah. Or like the little baby air mattress things. I don't know. I want to say it's like, that's the Talkadot, I think. But a lot of people put that in there so baby will be comfortable while they're penned up in their little baby play yard. The attachments, the napper attachment for a pack and play, or the changer attachment. I know because they're little and they sit on top. A lot of people think, I'll watch my kid and I'll just make sure they're okay, not safe to sleep. If it's the bassinet part or the actual pack and play, safe to sleep, you're good. Those are fine to use for travel. But I believe once your baby reaches a certain weight, you shouldn't be letting them sleep in there. It's again, it won't be safe. So you just have to know your product. You have to read through it. Maybe with a highlighter and some Post-its.
And there is a great group on Facebook, and a lot of people that I know personally are admins of it, and Safe Sleep and Baby Care, evidence-based support. And it's a great group. a lot of people kind of find it off-putting at first, but it has just stick with it. Really great info. You don't even have to interact in the group if you don't want to. The info is there, and they're always willing to help you as well. So if you want support, and there's so many moms that have been there, pregnant people, just everybody that have been usually, have bed shared and have come around. And luckily for them, their babies have made it. There are some lost parents in there that their babies have died from unsafe sleep, that they thought they were doing everything well. And, they're there to kind of help guide everybody, because it's just, I guess you could call it a journey. You're always learning. So it's a great support group, and it's great for a lot of info from that.
And I will say for that group, it has been amazing. It's the most supportive group. So there's always a ModMin member available normally, because their team is global. That's something so great about. So they can also answer questions. If you're not in the US, we can help you find something safe for baby to sleep in, or to help you with the products. That they have these great posts where if you're having a hard time and your baby's struggling, you can get on there and you can be joining with other people who are going through the same thing. If you're going through that 4th trimester where, oh my goodness, those newborns in there, really crappy sleep, you can get support. And there's a lot there. And I think, Danielle, if you drop the link to that in the show notes or in the comments, then people can find the group. I know they onboard every other week and they close every other weekend. So it's a great group of people. There's thousands of people who understand, who've been through it. So you're not the only parent who's just struggling or doesn't know if you have an older child and they haven't had their good, safe sleep habits established yet. It's never too late.
I wish we had this group around when, I had my kids, because it does. I mean, I learn a lot from it even now that I can share with, my pregnant friends, or, people that are bed sharing, or, someone sleep things. I can go there and find out the info if they don't want to join, or send them that way. It's just a lot of knowledge and a lot of support.
And there's just, every topic has come up. So there's things that you wouldn't even have thought of. As a parent, you wouldn't have had to think about it before. One of the things that I did not know is just people using antique, like the cradles or cribs, like, oh, it was my crib, or it was the baby's other parent's crib. No, those aren't safe. I saw someone who had taken one of those cradles that are on the feet, like from the 50s or 60s, and redone this awesome nursery around this vintage crib. And I thought, oh my goodness, and you can share what you know about it. You don't have to start lecturing people, but sometimes you need to know for yourself, okay, I didn't think this was safe. It's not safe. I'm gonna not use this. And that's okay too.
And I've seen some cool, responses, like how to repurpose it, to get it out of the baby's room even, and just, get to use it, get to keep it, repurpose it.
What's some myths about safe sleep? Because I know there's a lot. There's a lot of myths about it for some reason that you can kind of debunk.
Crying
like,
babies
hey,
are, yeah. I don't know many, but like the crying, like you should always, go to the baby when it's crying, or they're in their crib and they're crying. Crying is okay. And sometimes as new parents and even caregivers, you need a break. If this baby has been crying and you've done everything, it's fed, changed, you made sure everything's okay, go lay your baby down in a safe sleep space and get a couple minutes to yourself. And that's always important. And they get used to the crib as well, or their safe, their sleep space. So that is one thing. But I hear it a lot, like, I cannot let my baby cry. And I know as a new mom, when I had it, you don't want your baby to cry. You think everything's the matter. But you don't, even if they cry in the crib, it's okay to let them cry in the crib for a bit. You can go check on them. Like I said, that Facebook group too, it will tell you, like, it's okay. And, they kind of give you guidance about, let them cry for X amount of time, go in and check, and then come out. But that's one of the myths that I always heard. And you don't want your baby to cry.
Oh yeah. And I think another thing is you see a lot of people who have survivor bias. Well, I bed shared with X amount of kids before this and nothing's ever happened. Or, I had this practice growing up and I survived. And that's not a really good way to look at it, because that's not gauging if something is safe for sleep. It's just gauging if you survived or not, which it really isn't a good gauge, because nature really doesn't support all of us surviving. So I think that's like the biggest thing, is people think that if they've done it before, or if that's how they grew up, that it's safe, and it really is not.
We learn and we do better.
Right.
Speaking of safe sleep with, your daycares or childcare centers, you do want to check and make sure they are practicing that safe sleep, because they have so many children that if there's just even one kid unsafely sleeping, I mean, it can be tragic. And that's just something that you need to make sure when you're interviewing or going around. And it's hard, and it's, and you will find daycares, childcare centers that aren't doing it. And please report them when you do find that. But yeah, with childcare, daycare, leaving your baby with anybody is always hard. But that would be my number one tip when go into a daycare center, check out their sleep space first.
Yeah. Are they letting babies sleep in a swing? Are they letting babies sleep in a bouncer? Are they using like a boppy? Are they swaddling them past 8 weeks? It's okay to ask those questions, and it's okay. I know a lot of people don't want to sound hard to work with, or they don't want to sound like they're overly anxious about certain things, because I know I got that a lot. Oh, you're just, so concerned and you're so worked up. No, it is okay to be making sure that wherever your child is, they'll be safe. That's the way to do it.
Even with family and friends too.
Exactly.
So even if your mom or whoever, make sure that they're on board too. And if they don't want to get on board, don't let them watch your child.
Exactly. Right. If you're going to have, I know I've seen grandparents who are like, oh no, I just want the baby in the bed with me. We can all cuddle together. And if you're not comfortable with that, that is okay for you not to be comfortable with it. It's okay for you to set a boundary and say, no, that's not going to happen.